With my recent YouTube success, getting over 58,000 subscribers in really just 1 year's time, one could be forgiven for believing that I just completely lucked into it. I made just one banger video, it got picked up by the algorithm, and I was off to the races. It's easy to think that because oftentimes the only thing that somebody sees is the end result, the final product. In reality, I've been at this sort of game for about a decade and a half now. I have been chasing internet clout for the better part of 2 decades. And now, finally, I've got just a little bit of it. Just a little bit. 58,000 subs is nothing to sneeze at, but in the grand scheme of YouTube, I'm still a small fish in a vast ocean. What you don't see is the 14 years up to this point where I spent my career online just being another bit of plankton floating around out in the ether. So to break this down, let's have a chat. Let's talk about everything. Everything from the beginning until now, explaining how we got to this point right here. This is a definitive history of slap shoes. First off, let's start with the name. Everybody needs a name. And unlike a lot of people, you ask them where they came up with their screen name, their username, they really don't have a very good answer. With me, I can tell of one definitive time where I found my username. I outright stole it. Not gonna lie to you, I just pilfered it straight off of TV. Let's wind back the clock to 2003. G4 TV and Tech TV have just merged into G4 Tech TV, which was basically dedicated to just video games. Anything about video games you needed to know about, it was on G4 Tech TV, later just simplified to G4 TV. In a time before high-speed internet, when very few people had it, that was really the only method you had to know anything about video game news. That and Game Informer. I know there were a bunch of other magazines back then, but really that was basically it. A few magazines and a TV channel. And on that TV channel, they had a program called Arena. Now, modern day esports can trace their origins to this TV show. Basically, 2 teams of 4 or 5 guys, I forget, would compete against each other in a gauntlet of different games. Whoever had the most points through whatever point system they were using that particular episode, at the end of this gauntlet of games would be the winner. And one team would have to go against all these other teams, make it to the final round, and then there'd be like some big championship at the end of it. And to kind of date the TV show, at the end of every episode, the final leg of the gauntlet was these guys playing Deathmatch in Unreal Tournament 2003. Needless to say, this program was very, very fun. And there was a big team, and I believe this guy was an alternate to the team, and his name was SLAPShoes. He didn't spell it with a 1 or an O. I believe he spelled it straight up. But I just added as much leet speak to it as I possibly could because I was 13 and I thought that shit was cool. Which in 2003, it actually kind of was cool. It wasn't cringy yet. Nobody knew what cringe culture was. You just kind of rolled with it and, 10 years, 20 years down the line, it would become cringe. But back then, nobody knew what that was. It was the Wild West, man. I know a lot of my viewers probably weren't even alive back then. It was a wild time to be alive, let me tell you. But anyway, I took that name, and anytime I needed to make a player profile on any video game, whether it be Halo, NASCAR Thunder, or even Pokemon, I would choose the name SLAPShoes, S1apSh0es. Originally, I had like a $sign and an @ symbol in there and some other stuff. Eventually, I just simplified it to SLAPShoes, S1apSh0es. Fast forward to 2004, I believe on G4 Tech TV, somewhere on there, they had an episode of Red vs. Blue that they played. This is where Rooster Teeth Productions got their start. Red vs. Blue was just like 5 or 6 guys. Bernie Burns, Jeff, Gus, Matt, Joel. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Those are just the guys I remember off the top of my head. I haven't watched Red vs. Blue in, almost a decade now. But I saw like an excerpt from one of their episodes on G4 TV, and I was like, wow, these guys used Halo, a video game, to animate a comedy series. That's freaking genius. And they had a website, I could access it, but this was like such an ancient time that I had dial-up, and I had no way to stream their videos on their website. But I could buy the DVDs. That was the only practical option I had. So for Christmas that year, I got Season 1 and Season 2 on DVD. And I was absolutely enamored with that show. I watched season 1 and season 2 like religiously, like all the time. I had watched it so many times that I even turned on the director's commentary to play over the original audio. And I would listen to these guys talk about all it took to go into making these episodes. But really what stood out to me was when they said, oh yeah, we were able to quit our jobs and we do this full time now. That blew me away, that they had a website that really just had this vibrant community on it. It was like its own social network. It was crazy. All these forum threads about a bajillion different things. People who were just really passionate about them, like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people by 2005. And they were selling t-shirts and merch. They had a sponsorship program, which was like a early proto Patreon kind of. And it just blew me away. I was like, wow, you can make money on the internet and make so much of it that you can just quit your job. And immediately I was like, that is the end goal. I don't know what I want to do with my life, but if I can get in a situation where I can be like these guys, I want to do that. Just the idea that you could share your comedy, share your ideas, your thoughts, all that kind of stuff on the internet, and people in some way or another would pay you for that, that was just bonkers. Also, that same year, that same Christmas actually, I got Xbox Live, and my dad upgraded our internet to a high-speed connection. I already had Halo 2, and I started playing Halo 2 online. I remember that first night, that first Christmas night, I played from like 4 p.m. all the way until like 5 a.m. I was just hooked, man. I could not get enough of playing online. First game I ever played online against other people, and I was just blown away by it. And I was halfway decent too. I won my first 2 games just playing Rumble Pit. And of course I was level 1, everybody else was like level 1, level 2. But I won my first 2 games, and I was like, hey, I'm not half bad at this. Finished second in the 3rd game, and then I got my ass beat in the 4th game when finally the matchmaking system pushed me up to where it thought I ought to be at. And that was the matchmaking system that Halo 2 had. It was very erratic. But me and all my friends from school, we were all Red vs. Blue fans. We loved that series. And now that we all had high-speed internet, we were all kept up with Season 3. And in Season 3, they had just transitioned to Halo 2 using Halo 2. Just a couple of 15, 14-year-olds trying to make it happen. And the best part was we could find other kids who had the same idea that we had, and we could collaborate with them across the country. We had people in the UK, Ohio, New York, Texas, just anybody who was like-minded. We'd put them in with us, and we tried to make these different skits and stuff, and eventually it coalesced under the name Kids with Guns. That was our first like cooperative of people making videos. Well, our parents found out about our little foray, and this is America, school shootings happen. They did not like the idea of our little gang being called Kids with Guns. They thought it was like inherently violent. A couple of our parents started talking to each other and were like, all right, let's just change the name. Misfit Productions. Misfit Pro for short. And so we kept putting out videos with now our parents like fully off of our throats. They'd let us do what we wanted to now. And some of the skits we came up with, I mean, look, they were on par with the type of humor that you would expect from edgy 14 and 15-year-olds living in the mid-2000s. We don't understand how humor works. We don't understand how to set up a joke. The only thing that we know is shock humor. This is an age of Celebrity Deathmatch, South Park, Crank Yankers, just the nastiest, most vile stuff you can think of on Comedy Central back then. It was an age of rebellion, and we were all for it. We loved it. Some of that stuff is pretty cringy. Hopefully it never sees the light of day. But we had a lot of fun making it, and we did learn a lot. My buddy Evan learned a lot about editing, a lot about sound engineering just from doing that. And this is before YouTube. So we put all of our videos on a site called Putfile. That was a video streaming and downloading service, kind of the precursor to YouTube. And when YouTube came along and we realized what that was, we were like, oh, this is just like worse Putfile. The original version of YouTube was pretty bad. We're like, man, you can't even download videos from this. This sucks. So we didn't make the switch to YouTube. Bad decision in retrospect. And we never really got much notoriety either. The skits we were doing, the humor and the acting were pretty bad. Even going back and looking at it, it's only fun to us because we were the ones who did it when we were 14, 15-year-old shitheads. But it wasn't very good. We were doing like glitch videos and stuff, but that was stuff that everybody else had already found out. It was the same glitches that everybody was doing back then. So we never really took off. We never really got much notoriety. We did have a website that has since been lost to time. I don't even remember what the domain name was, but we had a banner ad and we got paid by the click. And one day, after we were kind of done with Misfit Pro, my buddy Evan shut down the website, and he came up to me at lunch one day at school and he handed me 52 cents. And I asked him, "What's this about?" He's like, "That's your cut of the money. We split it 10 ways. We made $5.20. There's your 52 cents. 1/10 of Misfit Pro. That's your payout. That's your cash out." I was stoked. I was like, man, I made it. I made it. This is it. I made money on the internet, even if it's just 52 cents. I was tempted to go and just get a soft drink from the vending machine or something. Back then, you could buy a can of soda for like 50 cents. But I didn't do that. I kept that 52 cents on my dresser in my room for years. I mean, years and years. It wasn't until I was like 18 and graduated from high school, about to turn 19, and gas was like $5 or $6 a gallon because of the global shortage and all the stuff that preceded the 2008 financial meltdown and everything. Gas was super expensive. I had to get to work somehow, and I had to sacrifice that 52 cents, which is now floating around in the economy somewhere. But that 52 cents meant a lot to me. That was everything. That was the first bit of clout I ever got. Fast forward to 2008, and I start up a YouTube channel, and I was doing what everybody was doing back then: uploading copyrighted content. Yeah, the whole Viacom lawsuit against YouTube, the whole suing them for $1 billion, the content ID system. You can lay the blame at me and millions of other people doing the exact same thing. We're the shitheads that caused that to happen. I had two channels. They uploaded, I believe one uploaded grunge and alt-rock music. The other one was basically just a heavy metal channel. I really found my niche when the Content ID system came out with really obscure bands. The more obscure, the less likely it was that you were going to get copyright claimed or copyright striked. Well, actually, back then it wasn't a claim or a strike. They would just delete the video or your entire channel. Every time you pressed upload, you basically rolled the dice on your entire channel. If the Content ID system caught wind of anything, even a song, like a top 40 song playing in the background, it would detect that and potentially delete the video, and in some cases delete the entire channel. This was when some guys were first starting to get 1 million subscribers, and that was just years of work down the drain. Eventually they got that corralled down. But one channel went the way of the dodo bird. The other one is still up, and I'm not going to tell you what the name of that channel is. That's for me to know. By the way, later in life, I dust off that old channel in 2015, 2016. I forget when they changed the monetization system to be automatic. Anybody who had a certain threshold of views and subscribers could automatically get monetized. And I went back to that channel to find that it had like 10,000 subs, like millions of views on some of the less obscure music that I had uploaded. And I was like, let's monetize this. And I was getting like 50 cents $1 a day. After I got monetized in 2016, I checked back in 2018 and I got my first YouTube check from that alt-rock grunge channel. $156. It only took me 2 years to make it. But that is neither here nor there. Those two channels, it had no commentary from me. It was just me uploading copyrighted content because, I'm an idiot 18-year-old and I don't know what copyright law is. One channel got yeeted, the other one still persists to this day. I don't think I've logged into that in a year now, but every once in a while I check up on it just to see if it's still there, and sure enough it is. The next stage of this is going to take a weird turn. I don't know what prompted this. I can't remember it specifically, but in 2009, I get it in my head that I'm going to start playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively. Yes, the children's card game. I'm going to go down to my local card shop, Corner Magic in Piedmont, South Carolina, and I'm going to make a run at trying to play this game. I show up first day, I get my ass kicked. But I did make a couple friends, and I had been collecting some cards. I kind of knew what the meta was because of YouTube, or more accurately, YugiTube. Yu-Gi-Oh! Still to this day has a pretty vibrant little community. I remember MCole40, Mega Capital G, and my favorite group of guys, Team Minority SPG. By way of them just making videos, they kind of showed me the ropes of the current meta. I was able to build a deck, had some limited success here and there, made some friends over at locals, slowly worked my way up until I realized what I was doing. I knew how intricate the rules were, knew about priority and stuff, knew about spell speeds and all of that stuff. I had no idea Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so complicated, but I learned at lightning fast speed because of these Yu-Gi-Oh! Channels. Well, one day I'm at locals, and in walks the guys from Team Minority. And Team Minority SPG, the SPG stands for Spartanburg Greenville. They were from Spartanburg, just up the road, and they came down to the Greenville Piedmont area to go to Corner Magic. And I started talking with them, and we really hit it off. Me and them, we had the exact same type of humor. The Doshi brothers, L-Dub, two Indian guys and a black guy. That's why they were Team Minority SPG, and I was Token White Guy. They called me Token. And we all ran very different builds, but we would all play against each other, and each one of us was capable of beating the other in different matchups. And so we kind of had this like little team going where we were really pushing each other hard, and we were getting better. L-Dub, he finished like tops at regionals in a few places. I remember the Doshi brothers, they did pretty well. Eventually one of them became like an official judge for Konami, and that was like really what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a judge, like an official judge of Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments, going to like nationals and YCS tournaments and shit. This is in 2010. By 2011, we're pretty good. I start doing okay at regionals. On the national tournaments like YCS, I'm getting my ass kicked, but on the regional circuit, I'm doing fine. I win locals tournaments fairly regularly. I remember I won a playmat tournament, like a side tournament at a regional, and that playmat was worth like $200. And we go through an 8-man single elimination bracket. I had some really harrowing moments, but I pulled it out in the end. And you know what? I won that mat, and I was able to sell it on eBay for what it was worth. And it cost me $5 to enter that tournament, and I made money on Yu-Gi-Oh! And while all this is going on, I have a Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel set up somewhere. Again, lost to the ether. I forget what I called that channel. I'm not going to tell you what it was. It was pretty cringy. It was pretty bad because this is an era before smartphones really took off. This is before a majority of people had them. And if you had a smartphone back in 2010, 2011, like you were either somebody or like an insufferable hipster. So I had this little handheld Panasonic camera, or no, I think it was Polaroid, that made this little shitty digital camera, and that was what I used to record audio, to record video, everything. It was a piece of shit. I bought it at Target for like $60. Nowadays for $60 you can probably get something a lot better, but back then that was like actually not half bad for a shoestring budget camcorder. And I started up my own Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel, and again, I never really get much success. I think at my height I had 300 subscribers. I think my most popular video had like 6,000 views. Really nothing, but I was having a lot of fun doing it. Me and L-Dub were really hitting it off. We were working hard trying to put out content. The Doshi brothers, they went off to college and they couldn't really hang out with us anymore. And eventually we just kind of lost contact with each other, and I just kind of stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At the end of 2011 after a couple of ban lists came out, and it had basically rendered my deck that had been worth about $250 completely worthless because they banned 2 very important cards, and it was just useless after that. Plus, I saw what Konami was doing. They were basically introducing these really broken, busted cards that could just auto-win tournaments. And they would auto-win tournaments here and there, regionals, nationals, and everything for about 6 months. They'd ban them all, and then that deck that was worth like $500 was completely useless. And then there would be something else that came out that was busted as hell. It would dominate for 6 months, and then they'd ban everything, and then wash, rinse, repeat. I was working a minimum wage job. I had a shitty 1996 Ford Thunderbird that was leaking oil like a sieve. I could not spend $200 per band cycle just trying to keep up and running a shoestring budget, occasionally doing pretty good at regionals. I didn't have the money for that, and I was quickly losing the drive to do it. The channel wasn't taking off. Cut to black, roll curtains. That is the end of that chapter. So through 2012 until 2017, I'm really not doing anything on YouTube. I am, like many of you, an observer. I occasionally comment, but mostly I'm just watching stuff. Fast forward to 2013, 2014, you have Gamergate take off. Whatever you think of that situation, it really did blow up YouTube. There was just a massive spike in commentary channels. A lot of the people that you think of when you think of commentary channels, Keemstar, Leafy, Pyrocynical, a lot of those people can trace their beginnings back to that big moment in 2014 with the whole Gamergate thing, because there was just so much material there and it just like split the internet in half. I mean, some of these people were shitheads, some of them had some good ideas, some persist to this day, some are actually really big, doing quite well for themselves, others have been lost to time. But I remember watching some of these videos and I'm like, these guys are like literally sitting in front of a mic. They have like some caricature of them made in MS Paint, or it's just them playing video games and they're just talking over it. Like, anybody could do this. I just gotta find some drama to talk about. I wanted to make a drama channel, but ultimately I just didn't want to buy a mic. I didn't want to buy audio equipment. I didn't know about Audacity. I didn't know that it was free. I thought you had to pay for these sorts of things, like you have to pay for Adobe Premiere and all this other stuff. I mean, I was using like Windows Movie Maker for like all of the other stuff that was on my previous channels. I had no idea how to make any of this stuff work. Well, around 2013, 2014, I started getting really big into anime. I had always watched anime going back to being a kid back in the late 90s with Toonami and then later Adult Swim. I loved Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing. Those shows were all my jam. Loved them. Back in 2009, 2010, while the whole YugiTube thing, I'm trying my hand at that. It was still kind of the Wild West for anime on YouTube, because there was no way to put that on the Content ID system. Why would Sony or one of these anime distribution places put that in the Content ID system? So you could watch basically anything for free on YouTube. Back then, your videos couldn't be longer than 10 minutes, so they would just cut it into 3 8-minute segments, and it would be part 1, part 2, part 3, and that's how you watch one whole episode in glorious 240p. In 2011, I'm watching this really crazy, obscene anime called Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. Those are the names of the characters. And somebody had just uploaded the entire series, at least the first 8 episodes, onto YouTube. And I'm commenting like, well, where's episode 9 at? And somebody says, oh, it's not out yet. They're in mid-season right now. I was like, what are you talking about, anime season? And then I found out that anime comes out on a seasonal basis. They just have one episode a week for 12 weeks, and then a new season of anime happens. So I learned about the whole anime seasonal schedule. I learned about Gigook and Arcata talking about anime. And in 2013, I'm watching anime basically on a seasonal week-by-week basis. Pretty much every season I'm keeping up with at least half a dozen shows. In 2015, I finally get it in my head that I've watched so much anime and I know enough about it, I can probably make one of these videos like Demolition D does, or Gigook, or Arcata. I need to get with my buddy Evan. He's got recording equipment, he's got Premiere, he's got Audacity. I need to get with him and we need to have a collaboration and we can start an anime channel. Thus, I do the 2015 year-in review anime video. It was not scripted, it was all off the top of my head. Some stuff was good, some stuff was bad. Some of the audio equipment that we had was just second generation, like literally my friend Evan worked at a church. This was stuff that they threw out because it either A, didn't work anymore, or B, they had found better equipment, and Evan had just taken it, refurbished it, and he was using it himself. And this is where I start to see what all goes into making a video. Laying down the audio. You really ought to have a script. It makes your video so much better. how to edit it in Adobe Premiere, what it's like to download videos from YouTube using Clip Converter or KeepVid or whatever. That it is a very time-consuming and tedious process. You don't just sit at your computer and then hit the button that says make video and then it's just done. There's a lot of hard work that goes into this, even when it is just you talking over a clip show. And it is literally as simple as it could be. This is a lot of hard work, but I really want to do it. We started making that video in December of 2015 with the goal of putting it out in mid-January. We finally get it done in April. Done, finished, exported, uploaded. There was just a lot of stuff that got in the way. We kind of lost motivation in a few parts, but eventually I just pestered Evan enough. I was like, I really want to do this. I really want to get this out. I think this will be a hit. It got like 30 views in the first month. Nothing happened with it. The channel more or less just sits dormant until 2017 when I finally buy a mic, the one I'm talking into right now. I get Audacity, the same program, running on this very computer right now that I'm recording on, and I make my first very own anime video, just me, nobody else. Spring 2017 anime seasonal review. There was some stuff that was good there. The spring 2017 season was pretty eventful. There was a lot to talk about. I had a lot of material to work with. Some of the stuff was scripted, some of it wasn't. It was again just me talking off the top of my head. Eventually, 1 week later, I'd make another video. Next week after that, I have another one up. And I really have no idea what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go. This is probably the most important time in my YouTube career because I'm learning how to do this with professional equipment, kind of. I mean professional for the most part. I'm using Audacity. My friend Evan gave me his 2011 copy of Adobe Premiere, which at this point of making those first anime videos was 6 years old, and I still use that program today in 2020. It suits all my purposes, works just fine. I have a good USB mic, this CAD U37 mic. It's phenomenal for the price point. You can't beat it. I bought it for like 37, 38 bucks on sale on Amazon. Fantastic little mic. I think I had a stretch of like 4 videos in 4 weeks. I'm juggling this, my main job being a delivery driver, and a weekend job working at the Speedway, Greenville Pickens Speedway. And I literally lock myself in my room most of Saturday until I have to go to Greenville Pickens Speedway, work that night. And then all day Sunday, I'm working on the video just to get it out Sunday afternoon or Sunday night at like 5, 6, 7 p.m. East Coast time. I learned so much during that time of just making anime videos. You can really tell that I just got better and better and better with every single one. The audio quality, the video quality, learned how to use the proper codecs when you're exporting your video and everything. That way it's not trying to unnecessarily upscale bullshit, and that way you can keep your file size down, which makes it a lot easier to upload and export and all that, and so your computer doesn't melt. By the time 2018 rolls around, I'm feeling like this could be my breakout year, and I've got something in mind to make it happen. There's a YouTube channel called Best Guy Ever. In 2017, he had a challenge in the month of May called Mia Mafova. Maybe I'll actually make a fucking video. And he made one video every day for the month of May. 31 videos in 31 days. In 2018, I get it in my head that I can do that too. I'll just bump out a lot of content and I'll break through. Well, Best Guy Ever heard what I was doing. He gave me permission to use the Mia Mafova name and everything. Made my own logo, got invited onto his podcast, gained like 100 subscribers right thereafter. I believe he had 100,000 subscribers at the time. So I got like 100 new subscribers right then and there. And not a single one of those videos hit. Not a single one of them. However, I did have some forays out into NASCAR content. You know, you have to make 31 videos and it's kind of hard to come up with enough material. And Mia Mafova can be about anything. So I was like, you know what? I'll just stick to what I know. So that's why on an anime channel, I had a couple of NASCAR videos. Now, at the time, none of those videos got any views. But it gets it in my head that if this anime thing doesn't work out, I can always do NASCAR content. I know a lot about it. I enjoyed making those videos. They were full length. It wasn't like they were slapdash put together. I thought they were pretty good. Top 10 list, the story of Davey Allison. I even recorded a story about Alan Kowicki, which I had just sitting on my computer for like a year and a half. Recorded, all the audio ready, the script done, everything. All I had to do was edit it together. That sits on the computer for a year, and we'll get into that in a minute. Mia Maffova doesn't take off the way I really wanted it to. I go through 2018 not really getting much of anywhere. By the end of 2018, I have 400 subscribers, but I've run into a big problem. I went to an anime convention called Anime Weekend Atlanta, biggest anime convention in the Southeast. Crunchyroll was there. They had a panel where they debuted a new anime. The new anime they decided to debut, the world premiere of it, is the first 2 episodes of Rising of the Shield Hero. I watch it and I'm not impressed. I don't like it. I decide I'm going to go home, I'm going to write up a script, and I'm going to go in on this show without doing any research to see if it actually has a fan base or not. Mistake number 1. Rising of the Shield Hero had a massive fan base. They're very hungry for this anime adaptation. I release this video and people hammer me for that instantly. I don't take the comments seriously because I love anime, but I don't take it as seriously as most people do. I have a sort of tongue-in-cheek outlook on anime, the way Giguk does. Anime is trash and so am I. Anime is the type of hot garbage that I live for. That's my outlook on anime. I love it, but don't let your ego get in the way. So when I go in on this show, I kind of mean it tongue-in-cheek, but I am being at least halfway serious. I didn't like the show. That type of humor doesn't really translate well across the internet, especially when that's the first video people see of yours. That video, by the time January came around and the Rising of the Shield Hero anime made its world debut outside of conventions, it actually went live on Crunchyroll. That January of 2019, I got inundated with views and hate. Should I have put on the kid gloves? Should I have backed off and given some concessions? Yeah, I probably shouldn't have gone in both guns blazing just trying to take it down because I was not going to take it down. But I didn't realize that because I didn't do my research. 18,000 views. Almost all the comments filled with negativity and people telling me that they have subscribed specifically so they can dislike every single thing I do. People have gone through my catalog and have downvoted everything. They have left comments on other videos unrelated to the Shield Hero thing, saying, "You suck, you should stop doing YouTube. You don't know what you're talking about. It's very obvious that you have no clue what you're doing and you need to stop." All because I didn't like the first 2 episodes of Rising of the Shield Hero and I called it mediocre. That, along with some personal stuff at my job, which I almost got fired for, it made 2019 start off pretty shitty. I mean, I'm down in the dumps. I've got no motivation to do any videos. I put out 2 in 2019 and I'm just about ready to just close the door on this. It is just another failed attempt at YouTube. But as 2018 came to a close, I had decided to make a new NASCAR video. The worst NASCAR race ever. The worst NASCAR race ever had been floating around in my head for about a year, and then by the time October came around, I put it up. I put it up the weekend before the fall Talladega race, because the worst race ever in 1969 took place at Talladega. I'm hoping to capitalize on some of that sweet search engine optimization, some of that SEO, and nothing happened to it. Not for months. I checked back on it in December, it's got like 88 views. I checked back again in like mid-January when I'm getting thrashed online. It's got like 884 views or something like that. I go through February and March. I'm not uploading anything. I'm down in the dumps. I check back April the 1st. Ironically, April Fool's Day. That video has 88,000 views and I have 800 subscribers. That video alone has doubled what I've been able to accomplish on my anime channel. I had 40,000 views on my anime channel. I had 400 subscribers. This video has doubled that. That channel, that Slaptastic Motorsports, which is now the official SLAPSH0es channel. One video doubled what took 2 years to do on the anime channel. Talk about going from like -100 to light speed. I'm like, holy shit, I gotta make new content for this fucking thing. I gotta put new stuff on here. I wasn't motivated before, but hell, I'm motivated now. Let's fucking do this. Within a week of me finding that video again, it's got 100,000. By the end of April, it's got almost 400,000 views. I would be an idiot if I did not devote my full attention to this channel now. Luckily for me, Mia Mafava is here to help. I have 2 top 10 lists, a Davey Allison video, and an Alan Kawicki video waiting in the wings that just needs video put on it. I upload those, and everything I touch seems to turn to gold. They all just take off. I get monetized. I learn how to place some ads, what ads to run, and everything. I've never been monetized on any channel before. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I'm like, all right, ad at the beginning, ad at the end, and a mid-roll ad, I guess. The money starts rolling in, and it's like hundreds of dollars a month. Not to flex on anybody, but when you go from 0 to that, hell, less than 0, down in the dumps thinking this was a total waste of time. Why am I even here on YouTube? I never want to do YouTube again. And now all of a sudden, like, you're making hundreds of dollars doing this with just like 4 videos up. Dude, the sky's the limit. And the rest is history. You look at that channel and it was just banger after banger according to the algorithm. 100,000 here, 200,000 there, 500,000 there. Eventually, there are NASCAR channels that I had followed, really never commented on any of their videos, except I think Black Flags Matter. He was like one of the only channels that I would like comment on fairly regularly, just because he had like some really cool choices of music, but really nobody knew who I was up to that point. And then those guys started commenting on my videos. And then I realized, you know what's better than the money? The respect. People weren't telling me like, oh, you suck, you need to shut up, your channel's terrible, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're talking about, you should just stop. People were doing the exact opposite now. You're awesome, I love you, I love these videos, these are the types of videos I want to watch. Finally, I had that respect. I'd trade in all the money I've made on YouTube just for that, feeling of respect when you first get it, that high that you get, having that again, that's worth its weight in gold. That's so much better than the paycheck, honestly. I got a primary job that pays all the bills. Like, this is just gravy, so I don't really need the money from YouTube, but man, that respect is something else that people kind of like look up to you, that I haven't fucked up yet. I hope I don't. I hope I never fuck up on my main channel. I really hope I don't. I hope I don't have like some meltdown, some shield hero moment where I dig my heels in on something stupid or just make some stupid video. But I've learned my lesson. The shield hero debacle was a very important lesson. Don't get too big for your britches. Always be willing to concede. Pick your battles. Pick the hill that you want to die on. And when you do, make sure that you come correct. Don't be combative. Try to explain your point. That was a very, very important lesson that I had to learn. And thankfully, that anime channel taught me so much in how to deal with people, how to deal with failure, really everything up to that point. I think across all of my channels up to that point, maybe I had 1,000, 2,000 subscribers, maybe 60, 70,000 views across 15 years of trying. And thanks to all those past failures, I know what to do on my main channel. I know not to fuck up. I know what to avoid. That is something that a lot of YouTubers don't have the luxury of. A lot of YouTubers have their first big failures in the limelight, and it's very hard to deal with failures when everybody sees you fail. I had the luxury of failing while very few people were looking. In that respect, I have been extremely fortunate, and I cannot express the gratitude I have for Evan Tripp, who was the big genius with the capture card. I don't even know how you get a capture card in 2003, 2004. Amazon was still selling books. They didn't sell that stuff. Best Buy didn't sell it. CompUSA, when it was still around, I don't know, maybe they sold it. I gotta ask Evan where he got that damn thing. But him having the recording equipment, him having Adobe Premiere, him having Audacity, and having people show up in the comments, and you see the same people over and over saying, oh, I really like these videos, I really like your content, keep making it, keep going. Like, hey man, it sounds cheesy, but that keeps me going. That's really the only thing that kept me going, especially when I wasn't making any money off of this. This is a situation that I never thought I'd be in, but here we are. And it all started with me wanting to make funny videos using Halo 2 to animate them. And then it was YugiTube. And then it was anime. And I always liked NASCAR, but I just never thought this would be my niche. I never thought that this was a big enough market to really pull. But hey, real life is strange, I guess. Before I drone on too long with being just overly emotional, let's go ahead and put a cap on it. That has been the definitive history of slap shoes on the internet. That is, hopefully, everything that you need to know. And if you have any more questions about the primordial years of slap shoes on the great, big, vast internet, feel free to drop me a comment down below, and I'll answer as soon as I can. So, until next time, y'all take it easy, and remember, always persevere. You never know what lies at the end of the tunnel.